But speaking of casual fans, what were your thoughts about Bad Bunny? He's going to be the headline for the Super Bowl. Obviously, the president demanded ICE to perform to be in the Super Bowl, although Bad Bunny is from Puerto Rico, which is U.S. territory. And I know you got a big look on your face.
I am. You kind of put me on the spot here with that, but look, I'm laughing because it's kind of interesting. I'm going to be politically correct on this one. Bad Bunny's American. For those who don't know, he's American. He was born.
Puerto Rico is part of U.S.
Yes, it's a U.S. territory. So if you want to, it's a very, very bad look if you're going to have ICE there in order to detain Americans. I have no problem with Bad Bunny, man. Bad Bunny, look, I'm still learning a lot of things about, speaking the language and stuff like that because I have to deal with, my job, my real civilian job. I have to do a lot of things. So I have to learn that. So going forward, you can be able to talk to different demographic. So I'm learning it. But it sounds good. I may not know everything he's saying, but it sounds good. Look, people, for those of you who complaining about it, it's purely a money move. It's a money move. You're going to get who draws the money. Bad Bunny draws the money. Do y'all realize that his residency in Puerto Rico has meant almost $1 billion to the Puerto Rican economy? Almost $1 billion. Not to mention, he had the single richest tour in the year 2023, I think. I think that tour grossed over $435 million. And then on top of that, that same year, he appeared in WrestleMania and he hosted Backlash in his home country of Puerto Rico, aka also a United States territory. So it's money. And the thing is, other superstars were asked to perform there. Taylor Swift was asked, she said no. Adele was asked, she said no. Guess what? I'm going to go and get Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny is a hell of an artist. Like I stated, I'm still learning a lot of the words to his songs because guess what? Like I stated, I'm still taking classes and stuff like that.
Spanish.
So you
ain't the only one. You ain't the only one.
So because sometimes I'll be confused as hell because like I stated, learning a new language at the age of 37 is kind of hard. That's plus on top of my job. But look, for those of you who are out there talking about it's a slap, especially one John Rocker of all people. I mean, John Rocker, you flat out insulted the state of New York when you played for my Atlanta Braves. So you have no room to talk about anyone as far as being a slap in the face to Americans. You flat out insulted the people of New York back when we was playing the New York Yankees in the World Series. And guess what? I still have not forgotten that because you riled the New York Yankees up and they came out there and beat the crap out of us as a result of your big mouth. So the thing is, how is it a slap to Americans that an American is performing? Just because you're uncomfortable doesn't mean that it's wrong. Just because you're uncomfortable doesn't mean it's wrong. Guess what? I understand what's going on in the political world. I understand what's going on with ICE and things of that nature. Just because you're uncomfortable doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean it's wrong. Bad Bunny is a hell of an artist. He's a sellout artist. He is a great American artist. And not to mention, guess what? He had one of the highest grossing tours in history. When you host the WWE, it gets no bigger than that. When you appear on WrestleMania, it gets no bigger than that. When you are able to host a pay-per-view or a PLE event in your home country and bring back out one of the greatest wrestlers of all time from your home country, that being Salvio Vega,
And not only that, he was recently on SNL. He was the host of Saturday Night Live.
Yes. So guess what? When you have all of those accolades all under your belt, and on top of that, you're now being chosen for the Super Bowl, that is nothing short of amazing. And guess what? Think about the global audience that you're going to bring. Think about the global audience that you're going to bring. Look, I'm not going to get political here. Look, us in this country, we have to stop being so nearsighted that we can't see the trees for the stars. We can't see the forest for the trees. We have to stop being so nearsighted and so closed-minded that we can't understand how that's going to be a global phenomenon. Bad Bunny draws fans outside of the United States. He draws fans globally. So guess what? Can you imagine what those ratings are going to look like? Him doing that, him being on the biggest stage, him being on the biggest football game in the history of this great nation. It's going to draw more fans than we can ever know. And guess what? With him drawing the fans to his concert, it's going to also draw fans in order to increase the ratings of the Super Bowl. Not everybody watches football. I know that in this country, we all watch football, but not everybody outside of the U.S. watches football. So with him performing, that's going to bring a lot more of an audience to the football and to the product. People need to stop being so closed-minded. And look, I'm just going to be real. There's a jazz artist that I love by the name of Chris Bodie. He hasn't performed at the Super Bowl. Kenny G, I don't think he has performed at the Super Bowl. There's a lot of artists, of my favorite artists, jazz artists, country artists, they have not been asked to perform at the Super Bowl. And if your favorite artist has not been asked to perform at the Super Bowl, then maybe they're just not the draw that you think they are. Maybe they're just not the draw that you think they are. Bad Bunny, let's just take the politics out of it. Bad Bunny draws the money. He drew money for himself. He drew money for the WWE, and he drew money in his own home country. Like I stated, his impact on his residency in his home country draws almost $1 billion. And that's just in Puerto Rico. So guess what, man? You got 4 months to learn Spanish. Go ahead and learn it. Suck it up. Because I'm learning mine. I want to know exactly what he's saying. So you got 4 months to learn Spanish. I agree with Bad Bunny, man. Bring it. Look. And I hope he performs every single verse in Spanish just to piss people off. Go ahead, let him perform it. If you want to be so closed-minded and so ignorant to the point that you will cast out one of your fellow Americans, then guess what? I want you to be very offended when he performs. I want you to be so offended that you turn the TV off and the ratings still get over 1 billion. That's how angry I want you to be. And everybody, look, as far as everybody talk about, they're going to boycott. Yeah, you said the same thing last year when Kendrick Lamar performed, and he had the highest ratings in Super Bowl history.
133.5.
Exactly, right behind Michael Jackson and Prince. So boycott your ass on and go sit down in your trailer.
First of all, still a lot of my thunder, but as usual, great minds think alike.
Yes, indeed.
I want to read the tweet referring to John Rocker, the former baseball player of the Atlanta Braves. He said, Bad Bunny performing at the Super Bowl is a slap in the face to the American people. There's no reason that such a patriotic event needs to be stained by a cross-dressing singer who hardly speaks English. Excuse me. Bullshit. That's number one. Because it's not American. It's not American. It's global. Jay-Z, whatever you want to say about Jay-Z, ever since he came in with the NFL, collaborating with the NFL, he's found ways to get the big artists who draw and make money. And he has done his part helping the NFL make money. Look at 2020. J-Lo and Shakira. They performed in the Super Bowl, although they haven't released although they didn't release so many albums back in 2020. But still, the Latin culture, Miami, Florida, J-Lo, Shakira, we all know what cultural icons they are. 2021, The Weeknd. 2022, Los Angeles, Dr. Dre, Snoop, Mary J, 50, Eminem. Although they're older, but still. Big time. Cali, they know what draw is. 2023, Rihanna. And this is while she was pregnant. Then 2024, Usher. And then last year, Kendrick Lamar. Of course, they picked Kendrick last year because obviously he was the big draw in 2024, particularly with the diss track Not Like Us, which also won Grammy. And Kendrick had a huge year with the Grammys that year. So I don't want to hear that with people saying it's American. No, it's about money. It's about the NFL doing whatever it can. Super Bowl is not just an American event. It's everyone's event. Doesn't matter if you're in USA, Africa, Mexico, whatever. It's global. NFL is going to do whatever they can to grow and evolve the sport. Why do you think they have games at London? Why do you think they're trying to do games every single? Didn't Commissioner Goodell say he was going to do at least 17, 18 games in London?
Yeah, the 16 to 17 games outside of the United States. And
Thank
the thing
you.
is, they're trying to go global with the sport. It's a global sport. They're trying to make it as big now as, let's say, soccer is. Well, you know, I would say football, not American football. There's a difference. Soccer, I will say, they're trying to make this as big as globally as soccer is globally, as baseball is globally. That's what they're trying to do. It look
Right. And for
there's
and for
more than, go ahead.
and for people who have a problem with that, champ, as far as I'm concerned, you wasting my time. If I'm the NFL, I'm like, all right, I'll hit you with the deuces. And the other thing I cannot stand with people like John Rocker or people who are some MAGA supporters and others, y'all keep saying, keep politics out of sports, keep politics out of sports. NFL's trying to make money. Why are you trying to knock them for making money? Oh, and by the way, why is Bad Bunny performing? He's in Puerto Rico. Again, part of the U.S. And he draws. He makes the money. He sells. He was recently on Saturday Night Live. As you mentioned, champ, $1 billion. He was on WrestleMania, WWE. So, of course, the NFL, they know the game. Why do you think we've had so many conversations why the NFL is the king of football? Because not only people miss football, football is the most popular sport in America, but it draws, it sells in this country. And that is what Commissioner Goodell and the rest of the NFL is trying to do. And if they want to bring in Bad Bunny to perform in the Super Bowl, so be it. Last time I checked, President Trump, you, Laura Ingraham, and so many others say, keep politics out of sports or tell athletes to shut up and dribble. Why don't you shut your ass up and do your job politicking? Shut up and politic. Shut up and do your job. Because clearly, since you've done your job as president, I don't need to go any further. Because look at the economy. Look at all the issues that's going on, champ. I know you're hesitant to say that, but hell, I'll say it. Because again, I said it last time. Remember me, BRF, when we talked about with Trump trying to demanding Washington to go back to the original name? No, Mr. President. Do your job focusing on president. Focus on politics. You continuously say keep politics out of sports. Isn't that what you're doing, contradicting yourself?
I believe that he has a vendetta towards the NFL.
Obviously, because he wanted to have ownership of the Bills, and I understand that, champ.
Even before that, before he joined the USFL, the old USFL back in the 80s, he wanted to join the NFL team. They wouldn't let him in because he was supposed to buy the Dallas Cowboys before Jerry did. You know, he actually had a bid in order to do that, but you know they wouldn't let him in even back then. So you have to ask yourself about personal vendettas at this point. Not only that, man, look, we can't say keep politics out of sports and then pay tribute to political figures when they pass away. We can't sit around here and say keep politics out of sports, but yet everybody wants to applaud when Nick Bosa wears the MAGA hat and shows it on television. And like I said, I don't have no problem with you showing your political belief. I don't have a problem with it. Okay, you can show yours. But the thing is, I don't like them damn double standards.
But that's my point, champ.
Yeah,
that's my point, champ.
Then guess what? We should be allowed to express ourselves. Okay,
that's my problem, champ. The hypocrisy.
Yes.
That is the problem that I have. You tell athlete like you, Laura Ingraham, you told LeBron James to shut up and dribble, all because LeBron had criticism of President Trump. Mm-hmm. But remember Drew Brees, remember the things that he said about the flag and the national anthem at the time in 2020, champ, that caused that was controversy?
Yeah.
You said no. He's an American citizen. He has a right to be entitled to his opinion.
Yes, she did. Okay. And like I stated, I have no problem with somebody talking about politics or sports. I have no problem with it. You can talk about it all you want to. But the thing is this: don't tell somebody else, don't tell one side to shut up and dribble just because you feel uncomfortable all of a sudden. And all of a sudden you cringe when something controversial gets brought up, but yet you want to applaud your side. That's the thing. I don't have no problem with either side. Guess what? You can voice your opinion. I want to hear it. I want to listen to it. I want to see if you have a valid point or an ignorant point. That's the thing that I'm about. I'm about openness. But the thing is, you're not going to sit around here and tell me about my political beliefs. Or you just need to shut up and dribble, or you need to shut up a podcast while Joey Bolsa and guys like that gets to go around there and they get to show how
Nick
proud
Bosa.
they are. Guess what? If they can be proud of their politics and whatever they proud of, then guess what? Other players can applaud that. And guess what? Look, if you're going to keep politics out of sports, keep it all the way out.
Thank you.
And the thing is, keep it all the way out. So if we lose another political figure, rest in peace, not going to say his name here, but if we lose another political figure, then guess what? Make sure the NFL doesn't put them on there, doesn't pay any tributes. If we lose anybody outside of the NFL, let's just leave it at that. So let's just be very, very honest with ourselves. Do you really want to keep politics out of sports, or do you only want to keep the ones that you're uncomfortable with out of sports? Because guess what? Just because, I will say this, just because one side is talking about something doesn't make it woke. Just because you're uncomfortable, just like something that the other side may say is not racist, just because it makes me uncomfortable. Guess what? You got to hear both sides of the story. That's why we are a country. And for people to keep talking about shut up and dribble and Bad Bunny and things of that nature, he is an American citizen. He is a freaking American citizen. There's been a lot of un-American citizens that has been on there. And guess what? We saw, I mean, look, and this ain't the first time, well, he doesn't agree with ICE. Hell, we saw the Dixie Chicks, they didn't agree with the shit that damn George Bush was did. But guess what? They were still allowed to voice their damn opinion. Now they got blackballed at the end of the day, but guess what? They were still allowed to voice their opinion on how they disagree in the war in Iraq. And I have no problem with that they voiced that opinion, although I was one of the soldiers that fought in that very damn war. Guess what? If you have an opinion, guess what? What are we going to do? Muffle everybody that don't agree with us? If that was the case, we might as well be under the dictatorship at this point.
And not only that, Chip, we are America. I thought we were entitled to speech. I thought we were entitled to an opinion. We're entitled to our opinion. That's what makes our country so great. But it doesn't seem like, hey, unless you're in line with my politics, shut up. Don't say anything. And that is where I have a problem with. And look, you and I, Chip, and we'll say this again. Although we don't agree with his politics, his political viewpoints or standpoints, we love ourselves the Undertaker.
Yes.
And if Undertaker wants to come on our pod, we would love that. It would be an honor and a privilege to actually have someone like the Undertaker on our pod. Would I still want to talk to Undertaker, despite the fact that he's a Republican and he voted for President Trump? Yeah, I'll still talk to him. Mike Tyson. I love Mike Tyson. I'm a diehard Mike Tyson fan. He is a supporter for President Trump, although for obvious reasons. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm still going to talk to Mike Tyson. And whether I agree or disagree, and I'll disagree, at the same time, I'm not going to tell him to shut up. I'm not going to tell him to go jump on a lake or whatever. My thing is, look, you may not have to agree or disagree, but look, I'm entitled to my opinion, to express myself with my opinions. If you just don't, if you're saying, okay, you're not a fan of Bad Bunny's music, okay, fine. Although I disagree, that's your choice, but prerogative. But for people like John Rocker to say, well, he shouldn't perform in the Super Bowl because it's an American event, that's bullshit. Okay, it's global. NFL is trying to grow. NFL is trying to do whatever they can to make money. It's about the money. It's about the bottom line. It's about growing. And no one can argue or dispute that Bad Bunny is a huge, huge draw. To your point, Chad, they've mentioned other artists to perform in the Super Bowl. Taylor Swift, Adele, they said no. So outside of artists like that, can you name someone that a bigger draw than Bad Bunny? And you
Probably
might as
not.
well go with it if you're the NFL. So my thing is President Trump, people like President Trump and so many others, they keep saying keep politics out of sports, but now you're trying to add politics into sports by bringing in ICE. It's in California. A lot of Hispanics live around in California. And Bad Bunny is a part of the United States. Because Puerto Rico, in case if people don't understand geography, I still have issues with geography from time to time. It's a part of the U.S. territory. No, actually, I do. As far as I am,
Oh, for
champ, I'm
real?
not. Yeah,
Oh, I thought you was being sarcastic. My fault.
no,
I thought
I'm.
you was being sarcastic. My fault.
No, sometimes my little brother and my mom do educate me from time to time. I'm not big when it comes to like all the international and global stuff. But thank God I listen to people like you because you make my job a hell of a lot easier. So for those who have a problem, like I said, with the Bad Bunny performing in the Super Bowl, shut up. There are far more important things you could be concerned or worried about. I don't have a problem with Bad Bunny performing in the Super Bowl. NFL's going to do what's best for them. It's about money. It's about business. It's about growing and evolving the sport and competing against soccer. Because we all know globally, soccer is the biggest sport in this world. And the
Yeah,
NFL is trying to do whatever they can to compete against soccer. And if that's the blueprint, because of course, what's the biggest sporting event of all? The Super Bowl.
yeah,
The halftime show, the commercials, everything else, the festivities. What better way than bring in a draw like Bad Bunny? So what's
yeah.
the big deal?
I agree. And if you have a problem with Bad Bunny, how about you do what Tubi did last year? They brought in their own performers last year. Why don't y'all partner? If you have such a problem with Bad Bunny, why don't you partner with the network and see if you can throw your own type of halftime show? Hell, Vince McMahon
And
did it.
how's that going to sell?
Yeah. And see how it sells. If you outdraw Bad Bunny, then that's fine. Remember, halftime heat, they outdrew the NFL halftime show when Mankind and The Rock won at it. Last year they had, a little concert on Tubi. They have little concerts, a little bit of everywhere on different networks about halftime show. They're not the only halftime show, but they're just the only one on the Super Bowl. But yeah, if you think that your favorite artist can outdraw Bad Bunny, have them put on their own show during that time and see if they can draw. And if they can outdraw Bad Bunny, then guess what? I will tip my hat and every head must bow and confess. But until then, guess what? Just be quiet about it and just look. If you're so closed-minded that you're not able to just hear the music and take it for what it is entertainment, then guess what? You like I said, you just if you cannot stop being closed-minded enough to just say, look, this is something new I've never experienced before. Let me just hear it out. If you're not open-minded enough about that, then I want you to be offended. Man, I hope he does every verse of Spanish, and I hope that he does everything. I hope he wears the most offensive thing that he could possibly find. And guess what? I want you to be offended because guess what?
Uh,
If you're that close-minded to the point that you're not able to hear someone out, to the point where you're just able to put blinders on and only hear your point of view, then guess what? Go ahead and be offended. I don't have no problem with you being offended. Offend
I'm
yourself.
kind, I'm kind of concerned though, Champ, because again, I don't want. Remember when you said about Josh Allen, how when he won the MVP, how you rightfully so called out people by saying it was the DEI award? I don't want anything like that.
Yeah, stop. Look, and I will say that to this day, that was not a damn DEI award by Josh Allen. He won that. He won that fair and square. The NFL kept the same energy. It wasn't about stats neither years. It was about who was more of an impact on their team than Josh Allen was. And I hate it when people said that because that is offensive to people who are actually going through that, whether they be white, black, a woman, or anything else. That's offensive to what they're actually going through. But in any event, like I stated, look, Bad Bunny, there's nothing. He draws the money. He does his job. He's more than qualified to be on the Super Bowl. If you look at every artist that has been on the Super Bowl, Nelly, Mary J. Blige, he's right on par as far as being a draw with every single last one of them. And like I keep saying, I don't mean to be repetitive, he is worth $1 billion to his home state's economy. He's worth over $1 billion to that economy when he does his residency. So guess what? If he's able to pull that into his country and be that much of an impact, and has had the highest grossing tours, one of the highest grossing tours in history, hosted Wrestle, was a guest on WrestleMania, hosted Backlash in his hometown, then guess what? Let's be open-minded and see what he can do on the biggest stage. Now, if he's not able to draw, then guess what? You can say I told you so. But get a guy a chance and stop being so close-minded to the point where guess what? You just want to bury your head in the sand, and every time something makes you uncomfortable, it's just always that's a slap in the face, especially John Rocker's behind. You're a disgrace. You out here said what you said about the people of New York. Then you're out here fighting Patrick Mahomes' dad in the damn streets like a fool. And then you have the nerve to talk about someone who's a slap in the face. You are the biggest slap in the face.
Well, champ, like you told me, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because you need it.
Exactly. Grow. Look, America, this is a veteran talking. Guess what? In order to grow, you got to be uncomfortable. And guess what? If you're uncomfortable, get more uncomfortable, because guess what? In order for us to grow as a nation, especially during these times, you're going to have to learn to be uncomfortable, because a lot of damn people who thought comfort was coming are very uncomfortable right about now. You see it every damn day. So I hope this I hope this level of discomfort continues to uncomfort you, because guess what? This is a time where a lot of us have to grow. So just keep getting uncomfortable, keep getting edgy and cringing. I want to see that, because you have to grow in order to do that.
In the words of Ben Franklin, there could be no justice until people who are unaffected are as equally outraged as those who are.
Exactly.